Diana Westbrook had built the perfect second marriage, complete with a loving husband, a beautiful home, and the respect of her entire community. But her 19-year-old stepson Marcus had been watching her every move through his bedroom window, collecting evidence that would either destroy her carefully constructed life or make him rich beyond his teenage dreams. Asterisk if you're fascinated by stories of family secrets, deception, and the dark side of suburban life. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. These cases will shock you, and you won't want to miss a single episode of our investigation into America's most twisted family crimes. Asterisk. But let's go back to where it all began. Diana Westbrook stepped out of her silver Mercedes, designer heels clicking against the pristine driveway. At 38, she embodied everything Westchester County expected from a successful woman. Perfect blonde hair, flawless makeup, tailored business suit. She had transformed from struggling single mother to the wife of the town's most respected attorney in just 4 years, and every detail reflected that carefully orchestrated ascent. The colonial home stood as her monument to success. For bedrooms, marble counters, backyard pool featured in lifestyle magazines. Together with husband Robert's partner-level salary and her thriving interior design business, they represented the American dream realized. But as Diana unlocked her front door that Tuesday morning, she had no idea someone had been documenting her every movement for 3 months. Someone who shared family dinners and called her mom when neighbors listened. Someone who discovered her perfect stepmother facade hid secrets that could destroy everything. Marcus Westbrook sat in his second-floor bedroom, laptop open to a folder titled School Projects containing photographs, videos, and meticulously organized documents. At 19, he possessed his generation's technical savvy, combined with calculating patience, learned from understanding that information was power. He reviewed morning surveillance from the camera installed in their garden shed, a $200 investment from his electronic store job that was already paying dividends. Their relationship had been complicated from start. When Robert began dating Diana 4 years ago, 15-year-old Marcus was dealing with his parents' bitter divorce and his mother's move to California. Diana initially tried too hard, organizing outings, cooking favorite meals, attending basketball games with forced enthusiasm. But as marriage became inevitable, her attention shifted from winning over her stepson to building her new life as Mrs. Robert Westbrook. Marcus watched this transformation with keen teenage observation skills. The woman who once asked about homework now barely acknowledged his presence unless guests visited. She converted his father's office into her design studio, filled the house with expensive furniture he couldn't touch, established museum-like house rules. His warm, welcoming father gradually became a man more concerned with maintaining his wife's happiness than connecting with his son. The discovery was purely accidental. 3 months ago, homesick from community college, Marcus heard an unusual car in their driveway. Expecting his father, he glanced out his window and instead witnessed Diana greeting an unknown man with stomach-turning intimacy. Their kiss lasted several seconds too long, her hands lingering on his chest, leaving no doubt about their relationship's nature. Dr. James Morrison was everything Robert wasn't. Where Robert was methodical and reserved, James was passionate and spontaneous. Where Robert wore conservative suits and spoke in measured legal phrases, James dressed in designer casual clothes with the confidence of someone accustomed to commanding attention. As head of cardiology at Westchester General, he had his own respect, but more importantly for Diana, he represented excitement and risk in her predictable, safe life. Marcus was initially too shocked to process what he witnessed. He watched Diana lead the doctor through their back gate to the pool area, both laughing like teenagers skipping school. They spent 2 hours together, talking intensely on patio furniture, disappearing into the pool house Diana had convinced Robert they needed for entertaining. When James finally left in his black Porsche, Diana spent 30 more minutes walking the backyard, touching her lips and smiling in ways Marcus had never seen her smile at his father. The smart thing would have been pretending he saw nothing. Marcus was technically adult, transferring to university in 18 months, could have focused on building his own life away from his father's complicated marriage. But something about Diana's deception ignited anger building for years. This woman had inserted herself into their family, changed everything about their home and relationships, now was betraying the man who gave her everything she claimed to want. Over the following days, Marcus paid attention to Diana's schedule differently. He noticed text messages that made her smile secretively, increased workouts, new revealing clothes replacing her conservative style. She'd always been attractive, but there was new energy, a glow he now understood had nothing to do with marital happiness and everything to do with forbidden romance's thrill. The decision to document the affair wasn't made lightly. Marcus researched surveillance equipment, privacy laws, potential consequences. He told himself he was protecting his father, gathering evidence Robert would eventually need. But deep down, he knew his motivations were more complex. There was satisfaction in having power over the woman who made him feel invisible, in knowing something that could destroy the perfect life she'd worked so hard to create. The garden shed camera was his first major purchase, followed by a recording device placed in the pool house during one of Diana's design consultations. His TechWorld Electronics job provided both knowledge and employee discounts for professional equipment. His manager, thinking Marcus was interested in security systems careers, even provided placement and settings advice for maximum clarity. Evidence accumulated quickly. Diana and James met twice weekly, always when Robert worked and Marcus supposedly attended class. They communicated through a messaging app Diana downloaded specifically for their relationship, thinking it more secure than regular texts. Marcus discovered this accessing her phone during family dinner, memorizing the app name, and later monitoring her usage through their shared Wi-Fi. The photographs told stories of escalating intimacy and decreasing caution. Early images showed distance even in private, body language suggesting boundary testing and trust establishment. But as weeks passed, comfort levels increased dramatically. Recent surveillance showed them swimming in the family pool, sharing meals on the patio using Robert's expensive china, spending hours in the pool house engaged in activities Marcus preferred not examining closely. Audio recordings provided the most damaging evidence. Diana's voice, captured through the pool house device, revealed not just her relationship's physical nature, but her marriage feelings and future plans. She complained about Robert's predictability, work focus, inability to understand her need for excitement. She talked about feeling trapped in a life that looked perfect but left her empty and unfulfilled. More troubling were money discussions. Diana had married Robert for security, but conversations with James revealed she'd been systematically moving assets into accounts her husband didn't know about. She used her design business, creating fake invoices and inflated expenses, slowly draining joint accounts while building financial independence. She discussed divorce not as an emotional decision, but financial strategy, leaving her wealthy and free to start over with James. Marcus listened to these recordings with growing amazement at Diana's calculating nature. The woman who brought his father coffee every morning and kissed him goodbye with apparent affection was simultaneously planning his financial destruction. She'd even researched divorce attorneys specializing in maximizing settlements for successful men's wives. Her sweet, devoted wife persona was completely fabricated, a performance designed to maintain access to Robert's money while preparing to abandon their marriage. The breaking point came the previous week when Marcus overheard Diana's phone call with James, discussing their future with detail, making clear their affair had evolved into serious relationship planning. James was apparently divorcing his own wife, and he and Diana had discussed relocating to the West Coast for fresh starts. Diana had even begun researching California real estate, using design work as excuses to travel and meet James where they wouldn't be recognized. Reviewing the latest evidence batch, Marcus realized he'd reached a crossroads. He possessed enough information to expose Diana completely, showing his father not just the affair, but financial deception and elaborate divorce planning. But he also recognized he had something valuable, something Diana would pay almost anything to keep secret. The question was whether he wanted justice or profit, protection for his father or exploitation of his stepmother. The answer crystallized during family dinner 3 nights ago, when Diana played perfect wife with Oscar-worthy performance. She asked Robert about his day, complimented his new tie, suggested weekend getaways to reconnect, all while her phone buzzed with James's messages, making her eyes light up when she thought no one watched. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. And Marcus realized someone who could lie so convincingly about everything deserved whatever consequences came her way. But sitting in his bedroom, organizing evidence into categories, and preparing for weeks' planned confrontation, Marcus felt the weight of what he was about to unleash. Once he revealed Diana's secrets, there would be no going back. His father's life would be destroyed, the family torn apart. Everyone in their social circle would know their private humiliations details. Diana's heels on the stairs interrupted his thoughts. She was changing clothes before her afternoon appointment, which Marcus knew was actually a planned hotel meeting with James 20 minutes away. In 30 minutes, she'd leave thinking her secrets were safe, thinking she still controlled her carefully orchestrated double life. But Marcus had decided it was time for Diana Westbrook to learn her stepson had been watching, waiting, and planning. The woman who married his father for money was about to discover her freedom would come at a price she never expected to pay. As he heard her bedroom door close, Marcus opened a new laptop document and began typing the message that would change everything. The subject line was simple: "We need to talk." The contents would begin the end of Diana's perfect life and start a dangerous game, testing how far someone would go to protect their secrets. Diana's bedroom door clicked shut upstairs as Marcus finished typing his message. His hands trembled slightly as he reread the words that would change everything between them forever. The email was simple, direct, and terrifying in its implications. "Diana, I know about Dr. Morrison. I know about the hotel meetings, the money you're hiding, and your divorce plans. We need to talk tonight when Dad goes to his client dinner. Come to the pool house at 8 p.m. Come alone. Marcus." He attached a single photograph to the email, one that left no room for denial or explanation. Diana and James kissing by the pool, her hands tangled in his hair, both of them clearly lost in passion. The timestamp showed it was taken just 2 days ago, during what Robert thought was Diana's yoga class. Marcus hit send before he could change his mind. Upstairs, Diana's phone chimed with the incoming message. She was standing in her walk-in closet, selecting the perfect outfit for her afternoon rendezvous with James. Something that looked professional enough to be believable as a client meeting, but easy enough to remove quickly in a hotel room. She barely glanced at her phone initially, expecting another mundane notification. But Marcus's name in her inbox made her pause. Her stepson rarely communicated with her directly, preferring to relay messages through his father when absolutely necessary. Curious despite herself, Diana opened the email while slipping into a black wrap dress. The words hit her like a physical blow. Her legs gave out, and she sat down hard on the bedroom carpet, staring at the screen in absolute horror. The photograph loaded slowly, pixel by pixel, revealing the moment that would destroy everything she had worked for. Her hand flew to her mouth as she realized the full implications of what Marcus possessed. How long had he been watching? What else did he know? How much evidence did he have? Diana's mind raced through the past 3 months, trying to remember every moment of carelessness, every risk she and James had taken. They had been so careful, or so she thought. They never met at the same place twice, never communicated through traceable channels, never showed affection in public places. But apparently, her own home hadn't been safe either. She called James immediately, her voice shaking as she explained what had happened. "He knows everything, James. My stepson has been spying on us. He has photographs, probably recordings. We're finished." James's voice was calm, but concerned. "How much does he actually know? Maybe he's just fishing, hoping you'll admit to something he only suspects." "No," Diana whispered, looking at the photograph again. "This isn't suspicion. This is evidence. Professional quality evidence. He's been planning this." "What does he want?" James asked. "Money." Diana read the message again, focusing on the details she had missed in her initial panic. "He wants to meet tonight, when Robert goes to his client dinner." She paused, a terrible thought occurring to her. What if he's planning to tell Robert everything? What if this meeting is just to watch me squirm before he destroys my life? "You have to go," James said firmly. "Find out what he wants. Maybe we can reason with him, make him understand that this would hurt his father more than anyone." Diana spent the rest of the afternoon in a state of barely controlled panic. She canceled her hotel meeting with James, claiming a sudden migraine. She moved through her daily routine mechanically, preparing dinner, making conversation with Robert, all while her mind obsessed over the evening's confrontation. Robert noticed her distraction. "You seem tense today, sweetheart. Everything okay with the Morrison project?" Diana almost choked at the mention of the name. "Fine," she managed. "Just some design complications to work through." At 7:30, Robert left for his client dinner, kissing Diana goodbye and promising to be back by 11. "Try to relax tonight," he said. "Maybe take a bath. Read that book you've been meaning to start." Diana waited 15 minutes after Robert's car disappeared before walking to the pool house. Her legs felt unsteady, and her mouth was dry with fear. She had no idea what Marcus wanted, but she knew her carefully constructed life was about to come crashing down. The pool house was dark except for the soft glow of Marcus's laptop screen. He sat at the small table they used for outdoor dining, looking older than his 19 years in the dim light. File folders were spread across the surface, along with what appeared to be printed photographs and documents. "Sit down," Marcus said quietly, gesturing to the chair across from him. Diana remained standing. "What do you want, Marcus?" "I said sit down." His voice carried a new authority that Diana had never heard before. Reluctantly, she took the offered seat. Marcus opened one of the folders and began laying out photographs like playing cards. Diana at the hotel with James. Diana and James in the pool. Diana counting cash in the garden shed. Diana meeting with a divorce attorney whose office Marcus had somehow identified and photographed her entering. 3 months, Marcus said. "I've been documenting your affair and your financial crimes for 3 months. I have over 200 photographs, 15 hours of audio recordings, and complete records of your secret bank accounts." Diana's voice was barely a whisper. "Financial crimes." Marcus slid a document across the table. "Fake invoices from your design business. Inflated expenses. Money transferred to accounts Dad doesn't know about. You've stolen over $40,000 from your joint accounts in the past year." The evidence was overwhelming. Diana realized that Marcus hadn't just stumbled across her affair. He had conducted a professional-level investigation. "How?" she asked. "I work at an electronics store," Marcus replied. "I know about surveillance equipment. I know about financial software. And I know about research." He leaned back in his chair. "The question is, what am I going to do with all this information?" Diana felt a flicker of hope. If Marcus was asking the question, maybe he hadn't already decided to destroy her. "What do you want?" "I want you to understand something first," Marcus said. "You're not the victim here. You marry my father for his money. You've been stealing from him, and you're planning to leave him for another man while taking half of everything he's worked for. You're a predator." "That's not true," Diana protested weakly. Marcus played an audio file on his laptop. Diana's own voice filled the small room. "Robert is so predictable. Sometimes I feel like I'm married to a boring machine that prints money. James makes me feel alive again." Diana's face flushed with shame and anger. "You had no right to record private conversations. You had no right to destroy my father's life." Marcus shot back. "But we're past the point of talking about rights. We're talking about consequences." He stood up and walked to the pool house window, looking out at the family home where his father sat unsuspecting. "I could send all of this to Dad's email right now. I could send it to his law partners, to your clients, to everyone in our social circle. Your life, as you know it, would be over by morning." Diana felt tears starting to form. "Please, Marcus, think about what this would do to your father. He loves me. Finding out would destroy him. Dad deserves better than a lying, cheating thief for a wife," Marcus replied. "But you're right about one thing. Learning the truth would destroy him, which is why I'm offering you an alternative." Diana's pulse quickened. "What kind of alternative?" Marcus returned to his seat and leaned forward. "You're going to end your relationship with Dr. Morrison immediately. You're going to transfer the stolen money back to the joint accounts. And you're going to pay me $50,000 to keep quiet about everything I know." $50,000. Diana's voice cracked. "I don't have that kind of money." "Sure you do," Marcus said calmly. "You've got the secret accounts, your business assets, jewelry you could sell. Figure it out." Diana stared at him in disbelief. "You're blackmailing me." "I'm offering you a business arrangement," Marcus corrected. $50,000 for your marriage, your reputation, and your freedom. Seems like a bargain to me. And if I refuse?" Marcus gestured to the laptop. "Then Dad gets everything. Tonight. Along with everyone else who might find it interesting." Diana realized she was trapped completely. Marcus held all the cards, and he knew it. How do I know you won't just take the money and expose me anyway? Because $50,000 is nothing compared to what I could make by selling this story to the tabloids, Marcus replied. But I don't want to destroy Dad's life unless you force me to. Diana sat in silence, processing her options. She could refuse and lose everything immediately, or she could pay Marcus and hope he kept his word. Neither choice was good, but one was clearly better than the other. I'll need time, she said finally, to get the money together. You have 1 week, Marcus said, closing the folders. And Diana? If you try to run, if you contact Dr. Morrison again, if you do anything other than exactly what I've told you to do, then all bets are off. I'll destroy you without hesitation. As Diana walked back to the house on unsteady legs, she realized that her perfect life had just become a perfectly crafted prison. Marcus had transformed from invisible stepson to master manipulator overnight, and she was now completely at his mercy. The woman who had thought she was the smartest person in the room had just discovered she was nothing more than a pawn in a game she never saw coming. The week that followed was a blur of panic, calculation, and desperation for Diana. She spent sleepless nights turning over possibilities. Should she gather the money Marcus demanded, or should she risk everything by coming clean to Robert before Marcus did? Each option felt like swallowing poison. By day, she smiled through social obligations, her mascara and pearls masking the storm raging inside her. By night, she clutched her phone, deleting messages to James, rewriting drafts of explanations she never sent. Marcus, meanwhile, had tasted power for the first time in his life, and it thrilled him. $50,000 was only the beginning. He'd watch Diana scramble, watch her sweat, and then, when she paid, he'd realize just how easy it was to keep asking for more. He had the evidence, he had the leverage, and he had no intention of letting go. The taste of control was intoxicating, and soon Marcus found himself drafting lists of what else Diana could provide. A new car, a semester abroad fully funded, maybe even a cut of her business profits. In his mind, he was finally reclaiming the years she had stolen from him by replacing his mother. On the third night, Diana met James in a shadowed parking lot. He wants $50,000, she whispered, clutching James's arm like a drowning woman. I don't have that much liquid cash. Even if I drain the accounts, he'll keep asking. He's 19, James. He has nothing to lose. James, usually smooth, looks shaken. Then we call his bluff. He won't destroy his own father. You don't understand, Diana said, her voice breaking. Marcus hates me. He wants to see me ruined. If I don't pay, he'll go straight to Robert, and everything we've built will collapse. James suggested lawyers, investigators, even the possibility of confronting Marcus together. But Diana knew none of those paths ended well. Marcus held all the cards. Each night, she lay awake beside Robert, staring at the ceiling, calculating ways to save herself. On the sixth night, an idea took root. Dark, dangerous, but simple. If Marcus disappeared, so did the evidence. But before Diana could act, Marcus revealed his next move. He cornered her in the pool house 2 days later, smirking as he spread new photographs across the table. The 50 grand is a start, he said casually. But I've been thinking bigger. 100,000, maybe more. You're resourceful, Diana. You'll figure it out. And if you don't, well, Dad gets everything. Diana's pulse quickened. You promised one payment. That was the deal. Marcus laughed, a sound colder than she had ever heard. Deals change. People with leverage rewrite the rules. Isn't that what you've been doing with Dad's money all along? That night, Diana sat in her car for nearly an hour outside a pharmacy, staring at a bottle of sleeping pills in her hand. Swallowing them all would end the nightmare. But the thought of Robert, discovering her affair, her theft, her death, was unbearable. She couldn't leave the story unfinished, not when Marcus was holding the pen. She threw the pills in the trash and drove home, jaw clenched with grim determination. The following evening, Diana prepared dinner with unusual care, pouring Marcus's favorite bourbon into his glass. She smiled as though nothing had changed. Marcus, smug with his new power, drank deeply. Later, when he returned to the pool house for another round of negotiations, Diana followed with a second bottle in hand. Within an hour, Marcus was unsteady, slurring, and Diana's heart pounded with grim resolve. "Why don't you lie down for a while?" she said sweetly, guiding him toward the couch. As Marcus collapsed, she saw the USB drives and folders spread across the table. All the proof of her betrayal lay within reach. Her hands trembled as she picked up one of the drives, her reflection flickering in its glossy surface. But Marcus stirred, half-conscious, and mumbled, "You'll never beat me. I'll always have more." The words snapped something inside her. Years of scheming, pretending, performing, all of it crumbled into raw survival. In that moment, she saw no stepson, no family, only an obstacle threatening to destroy her. Her hands closed around the nearest object, the heavy crystal ashtray Robert had brought back from a business trip. One blow, then another. The pool house filled with a sickening silence. When it was over, Diana stumbled back, chest heaving, the ashtray slick in her hands. Marcus lay still, his blackmail silenced forever. But the victory was hollow. The evidence remained. Hidden backups, cloud storage Marcus had set up, emails already scheduled. Within 24 hours, Robert's phone would buzz with truths no one could erase. Diana tried to clean, to erase the traces of what she had done, but nothing worked. Blood soaked into the rug, her fingerprints smeared across the glass. Her mind raced, but there was no plan left, no escape. Marcus had been right. She couldn't win. By dawn, Diana drove to the Hudson River, her car heavy with folders, laptops, and the ashtray wrapped in towels. She tossed them one by one into the water, the ripples vanishing into the current. Then, without allowing herself another thought, she walked into the police station and confessed everything. Her affair, the money, and finally, Marcus. Robert sat in shock during the interrogation, his perfect wife shattered before his eyes. His son gone, his marriage destroyed, his reputation in ruins. Diana, once the symbol of elegance and control, now slumped in handcuffs, mascara streaked across her face. In the days that followed, Marcus's precautions bore fruit. The scheduled emails went out automatically, delivering photos, recordings, and bank records to Robert's law partners, to Diana's clients, even to local journalists. The scandal spread like wildfire through Westchester, every sordid detail dissected by neighbors and colleagues alike. Diana's confession was front-page news, her mugshot splashed across tabloids that once celebrated her chic design work. James's name, too, surfaced in the fallout, his career in medicine scorched by association. He quietly resigned and vanished to the West Coast, leaving behind only whispers. Robert, the once respected attorney, withdrew from his practice within weeks. Clients abandoned him, partners distanced themselves, and the man who prided himself on honor and reputation was left a hollow shell. He rarely spoke, except to mutter that he had lost both wife and son in a single night. In the end, Marcus's greed and Diana's desperation had consumed them both. She lost her freedom, he lost his life, and Robert lost the family he thought he had built. James, too, lost his career and respect. There were no winners, only ruins, 2 lives destroyed, 2 reputations shattered, and one man left to sift through the ashes of betrayal, wondering if anything in his world had ever been real.